That's not your food. That's the cat food. Get out of there. Hey, hey, don't eat the cat food. She's been pretty good. She hasn't eaten the cat food until today. Don't eat it. Wow, thanks for starting my live out with cat food. What are we doing? We're working on the diorama, and let's talk about what's happening. I've got my blackest black water-based acrylic paint out. That looks pretty good. A little dark right there, just get that in. And this is perfect to add the depth and dimension to the diorama. So I decided to go ahead and use soda pop boxes for my design. I have a better picture online, but this is the crappy one I printed out. So all these little sections here, there was so much work and so much different elevation or dimensions that I decided I would just make it out of this. So the problem is I have to cut out all these little tiny things. That's no big deal. And then what I ended up doing is, you can see here, we'll zoom in. So I use that Vanta black, and then I've cut out a hole the same size as this, right? I've cut the hole out, and then what I did was took some more of that cardstock, and I bent it inside the hole for the edge, and then I cut a piece out for the back, and then I glued that all in there. And then painted that with the Vanta black. And then of course we have the Vanta black down here. So when you glue this on, these will look deep, but this is deep too. So that's just one thing. And then when this is all said and done, put another depth of edge across here, fold that over, paint these, and then I have to figure out how to do some designs. Like, now I don't think, archaeologically, I don't think that these designs are supposed to be on here, but whoever made this, okay. When you watch too many archaeological videos, you start to get a little bit smarter about like what should go there and what shouldn't, you know? So I see here that there's these little like these little hoop things like this, like that. Okay, well, because everything is a little bit more stretched and it's not exact, the hoops are supposed to take up this whole area. So, I mean, that's why I see over here, I did a little examples. So I'm like, oh, that's not might work very well. So I'm not quite sure yet what I'm gonna do about that. I could put another layer across here. There's so many different little things I could do. Plus I need to paint each one of these things with these little stripes here like this. Those are my examples to see if it's gonna work. But this takes a long time cutting these out, especially when you have to do, let's zoom out, all these layers here. But in the end, it's gonna look really good. So you see, I put the steps in. The other day I hand cut and put all of these out. I will put that, put a gesso over that, and the same color as the rest of the stuff around here. And that will look good. And then of course this. Now I did take the foam pieces. I did put joint compound around everything first. And now if you're cutting into this, that really helps to keep those little balls and little BBs from like going all over the place. It just kind of holds them in there, so you don't have a lot of this little stuff breaking off and around. So just a little slight layer around of the joint compound. And then I was able to just go ahead and paint over that easily and then cut out. And that's another thing too, if you want to paint on that foam, it's best to put the joint compound over it too. So we've got that there. I made this little jig. This will help me decide about, let's get the light in there. I've got 3 lights on, but it's never bright enough, you know? It's never bright enough. So I've got these here. And thank you, Agnes. Hello. So I'll put those out across, and then that's what I'm doing. So today I've cut out, there. I cut out all of these pieces that will go up along here, as you can see. And today I'm going to have to cut all those little pieces out and pre-paint everything before I glue it down, because I do have to put a top edge design on here, I might want to put more layers. I mean, maybe I want to make this better. But another thing too I noticed is around the top edge sides are little dots. Okay, so you can see all these little tiny dots put around on the edges and everything. But, so I thought last night, how would I do that? And I thought, well, why don't I think about pointillism, which is a type of art where you just put little paint dots. And so with an enamel, I guess that would be pretty good. It's a nice and sturdy paint. I could go ahead and use a fine brush or a pencil and put those dots with enamel paint every so often to get those dots along the cross line there. That is just one idea. But I think that might be the best idea, to faux paint the dots too, if I can't get that depth up. I also have some triple thick, which is like a really thick glue that's almost like a resin. You can do all many things like that. So how many dogs? A dog is good. I got one dog out there. She looks sad right now because I'm on here and not playing with her. So I did play with her right before we got on. Gave her hugs and love. And she's just mad because I told her not to eat cat food at the beginning of this. And she's fine with that. I don't have any cats, but there's a lot of farm cats out here. And sometimes they just need a little help every so often to get some extra food. Not from my farm, it's from another farm, but they have transferred over to my house. So I like cats, they're pretty cool. I like all animals, so I don't really have one animal over there. So how I'm doing this is, hello, there we go, is I'm putting these up across here. Now I did put little edges in the sides up here just to enclose that a little bit better of the same cardstock from my soda pop containers. Also, if you want to use these type of containers, you should always sand this glossy part too. And I'll have to do that with all of these pieces. And that way when the glue will stick to this better. So it'll have pulling the sheen off. It's super important to do this part. Otherwise everything will just come right off. It'll just snap right off. And you can make these little sanding blocks. Someone give you one of these, affirmation little things. You can just put some sandpaper right there, have that right there for your miniatures. And then if you were ever wondering if you feel loved, you can just go, oh yeah, I'm loved. There you go. So examples, having those right there is nice. So like I said, so I'm getting in here, I'm looking, and I see that it's at an angle. So I'm going to cut this at an angle. I'm going to eye cut it. Oh, perfect. Okay. And then I'm going to come over here to the back of this, and I'm going to draw a line straight up and down. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, push that back out of here, is this is probably to take the longest, is cutting out all the windows. But if you followed along, you've seen I have done many projects where I've had to cut out a lot of things. So it's not anything unusual for me to do a lot. All right, I've got my line, and I'm going to score it with my Fiskars Fingers knife, which I actually love that tool. And I'm going to pick it up with that ruler there. I'm going to bend it. Now, I prefer these quilting rulers over anything because these are clear. They're 2 feet long. They have this little lip up here at the top, so you can easily do your stuff. So I've got that bent in. I'm going to make sure it's equal, and then I'm going to tighten, get it tighter out there. I do have a bone folder thing, so I can just sit here and go like that if I want. No need to though, it's pretty good. Then, so I'm going to double check that looks good, and then here it won't go. So I'm going to bend this in half like this, and I'm going to hold it up like this, and I'm going to mark right here. Okay, so then I know I can just cut away. There's no special things in there, and if it's not perfect, later on when I put my joint compound, it'll be fine. All right, that looks pretty good. We have another piece set up for me, and I want to make sure I get all of these done and not work ahead of myself, because then I can't get in and do all these neat designs that I have to do. Plus I have to put this extra piece on here, and I'll have to paint it all the sand color that everything else is. This is going to be pretty easy. Most of it is just cutting this part out, and then I'll paint that Vanta paint, put these little side pieces in. I only have to do every other one with these doors. I've got these on here. I'll put some gesso on those, get those ready to go. And then I'll pour sand. I'll pour some Mod Podge glue, and I'll do probably a half a section at a time. So maybe 4 sections total. I'll put my Mod Podge glue in here and put the sand, shake it about, push it in a little bit, and then let that dry. Then I'll come back with it and seal it with another layer of Mod Podge. But then after I do that, I'll put more sand on that Mod Podge that's getting, and it's got to be matte. You don't want shiny Mod Podge. You don't want shiny dirt. And that's one of my pet peeves in a lot of dioramas I see is people are using shinier glues and sealers to seal everything. And in reality is we have more of a matte, less shine. So that will help. If you get a Mod Podge matte, that will take away the shine. So if you do have a shiny area, get the Mod Podge matte and put that on and you'll see it take it away. So sometimes I have done that. I've sealed things with a strong sealer and then I wanted it to be sealed, but then I didn't want the shine. So I added another sealer of the Mod Podge matte. All right. So I've got another little piece there, put that there. All right, let's get this one down. Next section. I thought they had these